I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. It is vital that we highlight how right-wing disinformation spreads and that it actually emanates from the top, from MAGA extremist Republicans, members of Congress and members of the Senate. And while we hope members of Congress and members of the Senate are leaders, exhibit leadership qualities, conduct themselves like adults in the room, when it comes to MAGA extremists, it's the exact opposite, spreading disinformation on social media for clicks and for clout and for retweets or for whatever. And case in point is on Friday, a member of Congress, a MAGA extremist who voted to object to the results of the free and fair election in 2020 from Florida's 18th congressional district, Representative Brian Mast, spread this disinformation on his social media account on Twitter. Representative Brian Mast's name may sound familiar because when he was running as a Republican candidate for Congress, previous statements that he made surfaced, including some on Facebook where he joked about raping 15-year-old girls in South Africa to his friend. And I'll point that out at the end of the video so you see the post. But this is who we're dealing with here. And Representative Brian Mast posted a video where the American flag and the POW flag are in a bin in front of Representative Sheila Jackson Lee's office. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee is a Democrat from Texas's 18th congressional district. And the reason that it's in a bin, like all of the other bins that are being utilized right now within the Capitol, are for moving purposes because the architect of the Capitol, which is also referred to as AOC, not to be confused with the Representative AOC, but the architect of the Capitol is responsible for transitioning offices from the 117th congressional session to the 118th congressional session. Members of Congress have absolutely nothing to do with that moving. It is the responsibility of the architect of Congress to have their staff go and move these items. And so what Representative Brian Mast tried to say is, WTF moment here. Look at this Democrat, Sheila Jackson Lee. She's throwing out the flag. She's throwing out the prisoners of war flag and the American flag in a garbage can. How horrific is that? And then he makes a video where he posts it, which has now been viewed 3.5 million times. I'm going to play the video, but note that it's complete disinformation, that the architect of the Capitol stated that this is not a garbage bin, that they're the ones responsible for moving it. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee responded to him and said, "You're just lying about it. I would never put an American flag or a POW flag in any garbage can. It's the AOC, the architect of the Capitol, that's engaged in moving. You know this. Why are you trying to attack me without even giving me a phone call? Like, we work together. Before you just go and attack me and spread disinformation, like, why at the very least, like if this was any other work setting, a colleague would reach out to a colleague and say, hey, I just want to let you know that that's taking place. You may want to do this or that. But no, just to go and to create this culture war, to create this performative, complete BS, divisive tactic is what Representative Brian Mast did. So let me just play this video of Representative Brian Mast here. Play this clip of what he posted on Twitter, which has now been viewed 3.5 million times.
So this is a WTF moment here in the House of Representatives. People moving offices, and this is apparently where Representative Sheila Jackson Lee keeps her American flag, her POW flag, in the garbage can, in the trash. That's her idea of appropriate for moving the American flag. WTF. What the hell is wrong with these people?
Now, Representative Brian Mast, in connection with that post, says, today's rescue mission, saving Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee's American flag from the garbage can. Jackson Lee, Texas 18, anytime you'd like a lesson on flag etiquette, let me know. It's one of the first things we're taught in basic training. And Representative Brian Mast is indeed a veteran of the United States military. And this is what Sheila Jackson Lee responded. And it was a very nice response. She goes, "While I respect your military service and sacrifice to our nation, you do not have a past to mislead the public. As a re-elected member of Congress, you know that office moves are solely handled by the architect of the Capitol, AOC. You know that I had absolutely nothing to do with this. As you voted against certifying the 2020 election results after January 6th, it is not surprising that you would take to Twitter to parrot yet another big lie. Let's talk about it." Then Sheila Jackson Lee goes, "This is currently the scene in Washington, D.C. As you can see, there are a lot of moving pieces moving around." Here, play this video of what Sheila Jackson Lee posted. And then Sheila Jackson Lee responds on this chain, "If the only information you had at the time was the view of a flag in a bin labeled, quote, trash, this was a mistake by the House movers that should have been kindly pointed out to them to be corrected. Instead of you coming to me directly so that this could be resolved for all offices and all moves with the architect of the Capitol, you chose to run to Twitter to lust for retweets like a child. You did not come to me because you and I both know that the architect of the Capitol would have handled this immediately. Instead of handling the matter with the appropriate authorities, you walked by this flag and did nothing. While I spent the time on the floor defending the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, to provide support for our military personnel and their families, you carried on with your day only for you to type this factless tweet. So when I saw your tweet," that's what Sheila Jackson Lee says, "I reached out to the architect of the Capitol directly to figure out what was going on." This was their response. And here's the response from J. Brett Blanton, PE, the architect of the Capitol. "Congresswoman Lee, thank you for your inquiry. The architect of the Capitol team has confirmed that the flags were placed in a tall vertical moving bin to prevent them from falling over while awaiting transport. Additionally, this moving bin is not and has never been a trash receptacle." Sheila Jackson Lee then goes on to say, "These bins have never been used for trash, and they weren't even from my office. These bins were used to prevent flags from falling down and touching the ground during transport. I'm grateful for the men and women of the AOC who do the heavy lifting to move members to new office space in a matter of days. They are hard-working people and deserve the utmost respect. I will always respect your service, but none of that allows you to mistreat and distort the actions of myself as it relates to the flag of the United States. In fact, I've called your office to no avail to discuss this. I have yet to receive a return call. My office has always had great respect for the flag. I honor the American flag, the Texas flag, and am one of the few members that has a POW MIA flag in their office. I will not stand for it, and my constituents will not stand for it." And it shows a photo of her with flags. "If you are interested in a solution of actual substance, I look forward to engaging with you to develop proper flag etiquette with the AOC to prevent this from happening to any flag in our Capitol in the future." So there you have Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee reaching out to a colleague who spread misinformation, being firm but polite and saying, look, If you believe this is a serious issue by the architect of the Capitol, why don't we come to a solution generally so we could avoid this from happening if indeed this offends you, how they are moving the flags from one office to another and how they are conducting their move generally. And you should have reached out to me because we could have actually had a conversation about this as colleagues. So rather than actually call Sheila Jackson Lee, rather than apologize for the misinformation that he spread, rather than acknowledging anything that she said, rather than coming up with a solution, perhaps, this is what Representative Brian Mast says. I guess the trash can identifies as a, quote, vertical moving bin. The fact that our flag was in a trash can for any reason and no one on your team thought to fix it is all I need to know. My staff and I took it and respectfully stored it until the AOC received it for you. You're welcome. And then she says, here we go again, still lusting for retweets, I see, in case you missed it. And there he combines spreading more disinformation by also doing the thing that the right-wing MAGA extremist is utterly obsessed about by saying, I guess the bin identifies as this and what's its pronoun, because that's all right-wing MAGA extremists talk about on their echo chamber is pronouns, and that's their main issue right now, that pronouns offend them. It makes them very, very, very angry. So there you have a basic dynamic, though. And even though here what we're talking about is something as simple as flag etiquette when it comes to the architect of the Capitol who is moving, an issue that we should all rally around. It's used by right-wing MAGA to try to divide our country. And as I said at the beginning, I wanted to show you the message from Brian Mast, from this congressman in 2009 on Facebook and his friends in South Africa. And what he tells his friend is the following. I'm so proud of you. I hope you hook up with at least 15-year-olds over there. It's legal there, right? This is what Brian Mast is talking about. And in addition, Brian Mast said in 2011, the first one was from 2009 to the same person. His friend goes, anyone have any good pickup lines for this weekend, considering according to the crazy Christian radio guy, the world may end on Sunday? And then Mast said the following, how about don't turn this rape into a murder, is what he said is a good pickup line. That just tells you who they are. And that's what we talk about all the time here on the MeidasTouch network, which is the pro-democracy, pro-normal side is trying to come up with solutions. And by the way, that doesn't even mean, let's just take this as an example. We could look at the fact that the American flag and the POW flag was in a bin for moving purposes, and we may go, you know what? Perhaps the AOC should handle that move differently. But let's come up with a solution if that really offends you, that's how the architect is moving things from one office to the other and putting it up there. Why are we using it as a retweet clickbait type of thing to divide the country when you can just pick up the call and have a normal, reasonable conversation with a colleague? And it's just, I wanted to show you that because to me, it completely symbolizes what the issue is with right-wing MAGA extremists. Because look, if it's an issue that's just like that, think about other issues. Think about having any adult-like conversation with them that the moment you have a conversation, they're like, oh, I guess it identifies as a receptacle moving bin. It's like, what are you talking about? Can we just have a normal conversation without you bringing up pronouns or without you bringing up their new one from this weekend with Marjorie Taylor Greene speaking at the New York Republican Conference was they're obsessed with sex toys at department stores. That's their new green M&M legs and Dr. Seuss and woke characters, right? I mean, look, Democrats, we're trying to focus on issues that matter to people: jobs, education, healthcare, veterans, real freedoms for people, a freedom of a woman over her body, the freedom for the LGBTQ plus community to marry who they want to marry without Republicans interfering with it. We're trying to come up with solutions. Infrastructure. How do we make more manufacturing jobs come to America? Let's have these solutions. And Republicans are like, oh, I guess you identify as a trash bin receptacle. It's like, all right, well, it's hard to have a conversation if you have the maturity of a petulant 3-year-old, and no offense to petulant 3-year-olds. Like, we are bigger, we are better than this as a nation, than this MAGA extremism, and it's critical that we have these conversations together and we call it out. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit the subscribe button. We are on our way to 1 million subscribers, thanks to your incredible support. And in addition, please check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Consider becoming a patron. It's a membership where you'll get exclusive content that you could only get at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. But most importantly, help grow this independent media platform. And we're not funded by any outside investors. So wherever you are in the world, it goes a long way. Patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas.
Our blue wall stopped the red wave and election deniers got denied election. That's why we're celebrating with the new Democracy Prevails team. We've got lots of work to do, but we should all be proud that when democracy was tested, democracy prevailed. You've earned this. Don't wait. Get yours right now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.